I caught my husband's cousin taking jewelry from my safe. When I reported it, my mother-in-law said, "You don't accuse blood in this family." My husband demanded I apologize. When I refused, he locked me out with nothing but a robe. I slept in my car, and in the morning, I saw a social media post that said, "I, 32 female, don't know where to start. This still doesn't feel real." I'm writing this because I don't know who else to talk to. I feel like I'm going crazy, and I need to say it out loud somewhere, even if it's just the internet. I've been married to my husband, Daniel, 35M, for 5 years. Together for 7. No kids. We live in a house I helped pay for in his hometown about 10 minutes away from his mom. Let me be clear, I never felt fully accepted by his family. They weren't rude to my face, but there were always small things. Comments about how different I was. How I didn't grow up around here. I brushed it off for years because I thought they'd warm up eventually. They didn't. Daniel has a big, close-knit family. Very loyal to each other. Sunday dinners, birthdays, cookouts, all of it. At first I thought it was sweet because my family isn't like that. I only have my dad and he lives in another state. I wanted to be part of something like that. I tried hard to fit in. Looking back, I think they liked that I tried so hard. It made it easier to keep me at arm's length. Anyway, Daniel's cousin Alyssa, 23F, is kind of the family favorite. She's one of those people who constantly makes bad decisions and gets rescued every time. Crashes her car? Uncle pays for repairs. Gets fired? Aunt gets her a job. Moves in with a guy too fast and it falls apart? She stays with someone in the family until the next thing. 3 months ago, she moved in with us. Daniel didn't really ask, he just told me. Said she needed a stable place to land. I wasn't thrilled, but I didn't fight him. She was polite enough. Stayed in the guest room. I kept my distance. Now, we have a small floor safe in the master closet. It's built into the floor, under a loose board. It's not for valuables like diamonds or anything, just personal stuff. My late grandmother's locket, a pair of gold earrings my mom gave me before she passed, and some emergency cash. Nothing flashy. Just things that matter to me. One night I got home late from work. I'm a nurse and had picked up an extra shift. It was after midnight. I came in quietly because I didn't want to wake anyone. As I walked past the bedroom, the door was half open. That's when I saw Alyssa. She was in my closet, crouched down over the safe. The board was already off. Her hand was inside. I froze. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched. I could see her pull something out. She looked at it for a second, then put it in her hoodie pocket. It was my grandmother's gold locket. I knew because the chain was short and delicate, and it had a tiny dent on the back. I stared at her, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. She stood up and turned around. That's when she saw me. She jumped and fumbled for some excuse. Said she was looking for a phone charger. I didn't argue. I just walked into the closet, bent down and looked in the safe. The locket was gone. I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I felt sick. My hands were shaking. I just said, "Go to bed." And she did. The next morning I told Daniel everything. I expected him to be shocked. Maybe angry. But he wasn't. He barely reacted. He said, "Are you sure you didn't misplace it?" I said, "I watched her take it out of the safe." He said, "Why didn't you say something last night?" I said, "Because I wanted to talk to you first." He rubbed his face like he was stressed and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. That maybe she was just confused. Maybe she thought it was hers. That she wouldn't steal from family. I told him I wanted the locket back. That's it. Just give it back and we can move on. He said he'd talk to her. Later that day, nothing happened. Alyssa acted normal. No mention of it. No apology. No return of the locket. Just her usual fake sweet smile. So I went to his mom. I didn't go in angry. I explained what I saw. I said I didn't want to cause drama. I just wanted my grandmother's locket back. She looked me in the eye and said, "You don't accuse blood in this family." I stared at her. She said, "You must have misunderstood. Alyssa wouldn't do that. She's been through enough. Maybe you're just tired. You work long hours. People get confused. I said, I watched her take it. She said, and maybe you thought you did. But going around making accusations like this, what do you think that does to our family? I left. I was shaking so bad, I had to pull over on the drive home. That night, Daniel told me I needed to apologize. Not just to Alyssa, but to everyone. He said I embarrassed the family. That his mom was upset. That Alyssa was crying. I said no. I said I wasn't going to pretend I didn't see what I saw. I told him I'd go to the police. That's when he snapped. He told me I was turning something small into a war. That if I couldn't respect his family, I didn't belong in it. Then he opened the front door, pointed outside, and said, "You can go think about it out there." I was wearing a robe. That's it. No shoes. No phone. No wallet. He shoved the door shut behind me. I stood on the porch for 5 minutes before walking to my car. I'd left the keys in the console earlier that day. Thank God. I sat in the dark for hours. It was cold. I couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking, how did it get here? In the morning, I finally checked my phone. I saw a post from my mother-in-law's Facebook. It said, "Family protects family. No exceptions. Snakes get exposed eventually." She tagged Daniel. Alyssa had liked the post. That's when it hit me. They'd closed ranks. They weren't going to help me. They were going to pretend this never happened and blame me for it. That Facebook post gutted me. I stared at it for a long time, reading it over and over. It wasn't just a message, it was a warning. A line being drawn. I was on the outside now. I didn't go back inside. I couldn't. I drove to a coworker's apartment and cried in her parking lot until she came out and let me in. She gave me sweats and let me shower. She offered to let me stay until I figured things out. I didn't tell her everything. Just enough, so she wouldn't ask too many questions. The next few days were a blur. Daniel didn't call. He didn't text. Nothing. Then the rumors started. I found out through a mutual friend, someone from Daniel's side, but not close to the core family, that Alyssa was telling people I tried to frame her. That I was obsessed with her. That I was jealous of how close she was to Daniel. I laughed out loud when I heard that. Jealous? Of Alyssa? But then it got worse. She said I'd gone through her things. That I'd planted the jewelry story to make her look bad because I couldn't handle how much everyone liked her. I confronted Daniel by text. Told him I knew what was being said. I asked him why he was letting her trash my name. He wrote back, "You brought this on yourself. You don't attack family and expect us to stay silent." Us. He had chosen a side. And it wasn't mine. A week passed. I still had no clothes, no personal documents, no access to the joint account. Everything I owned was in that house. I texted him again. No response. So I sent a formal message, told him I'd be coming on Saturday with a friend to pick up my things. I asked him to please have them packed, or to let me in to get them. He replied, "You can come, but Alyssa will be there. And if you start anything, I'll call the cops." I brought my friend, Jess. She waited outside with me while Daniel opened the door and let me in. He barely looked at me. The house felt different. Cold. Like it didn't belong to me anymore. I went straight to the closet. The safe was gone. The board it sat under was sealed shut with screws. I asked where the safe was. Daniel said, "What safe?" I stared at him. The safe. In the closet. Where I kept my grandmother's locket. Where damn well I saw Alyssa, he cut me off. Said there had never been a safe. I couldn't breathe. I walked into the guest room. Alyssa was sitting on the bed, on her phone, smirking. She didn't say a word. Just looked at me like she'd already won. Daniel stood in the doorway and said, "You've got 15 minutes. I grabbed what I could, my clothes, my nursing license, a few photos. Some of it was missing. Jewelry, old journals gone. The next twist came 2 weeks later. I got a call from my HR department. Someone had submitted an anonymous report accusing me of drug diversion at the hospital. For context, I work in a unit where we handle controlled substances all the time. Accusations like that are serious. Even false ones can end a career. Luckily, we have tight protocols. They checked everything. Nothing was missing. My charting was clean. The investigation cleared me. But someone had tried to ruin me. I knew it was them. I couldn't prove it, but I knew. And it didn't stop there. An old Instagram account I barely used suddenly had posts on it. Photos I'd never taken. Old selfies, edited with captions like, "Catch me stealing hearts and diamonds." It was childish. Petty. But just enough to make me feel unsafe. I deleted the account. Reported everything. Then, a few days ago, I got a text from an unknown number. No name. No message. Just a photo. It was the locket, sitting in someone's hand. No caption. No context. I don't know whose hand it was. Could have been Alyssa's. Could have been Daniel's. All I know is they're still playing games. And I'm done playing quiet. I filed a police report. I told them everything, what I saw, what was taken, and the photo. They said without proof of who sent it, it's hard to trace. But I handed over all the screenshots. Then came the real kicker. Turns out Daniel did move the safe. I found out from the guy who installed our closet system. He owns a small carpentry business, and he messaged me privately on Facebook. Said he came to patch the floor 2 days after I left. Daniel paid cash. Told him it was for a remodel. I asked if he remembered what was under the board. He said yes. A metal safe bolted into the foundation. He said it looked heavy. He had to help Daniel lift it out. I asked if he'd be willing to talk to the police. He said yes. So now I have one person willing to say the safe existed. That Daniel moved it. That he knew. I don't know what happens next. I still haven't gotten the locket back. I haven't filed for divorce yet. I'm waiting. Watching. Collecting everything. Because if they think they've broken me, they don't understand who I am. They wanted to protect blood. They wanted to call me a snake. Let them. But the story's not over. Not even close. After the carpenter agreed to speak with the police, something in me changed. I stopped hoping for an apology. I stopped hoping that Daniel would come to his senses, or that Alyssa would grow a conscience. I let go of the idea that any of them ever saw me as family. That dream was dead. But I wasn't. I got a lawyer. At first it was just about getting my things back, my personal property, my half of the money in our joint account, and my legal share of the house. But once we started digging, more things came to light. Daniel had emptied the joint account 2 days after I left. All of it. Thousands of dollars I had contributed, gone. He moved it into a private account under his name only. My lawyer filed a motion for financial misconduct, and the court froze his assets. Then came the security footage. A friend of mine from the hospital, who also happens to be married to a cop, gave me a tip: check with pawn shops, not just in our town but the next few over. So I did. I went in person to every single one with photos of my grandmother's locket and the earrings my mom gave me. One of them had a match. The locket had been pawned by Alyssa. They still had her ID on file. Security footage too. She was smiling in it, wearing my earrings. Like it was nothing. Like I meant nothing. That's when everything fell into place. With proof of the theft and the carpenter's statement about the hidden safe being removed, the police opened a case. They didn't rush, but they took it seriously now. Especially after I turned over the anonymous messages and social media posts. 2 weeks later, Alyssa was charged with theft. It made the local news. Nothing big, just a side column. But it was enough to cause a stir. People in Daniel's family started calling me. Some to ask if it was true. Some to yell. Some to beg me to drop it. I didn't answer any of them. Daniel finally called. First time in over a month. He didn't apologize. He tried to reason. He said I'd blown things way out of proportion. That Alyssa was just a kid and didn't know better. He told me, "You're tearing this family apart." I said, "No. I just stopped pretending." Then I hung up. It didn't end there. I decided not to return to the house. I wanted to burn it to the ground, metaphorically, not physically, although I won't lie, I imagined it. I told my lawyer I wanted out. He handled everything. The judge awarded me a fair settlement. Half the house's value, restitution for the stolen items, and a separate payout for emotional distress due to the false accusations and being unlawfully locked out. Turns out, locking your wife outside in a robe with no phone or money, that's illegal in this state. The best part? Because Daniel lied to the police and claimed the safe never existed and the carpenter proved otherwise, he got hit with obstruction charges. Not jail time, but a record.
A fine.
Public court documents with his name and the words, attempted cover-up. It'll follow him forever. As for Alyssa, she took a plea deal. No jail time, but probation and mandatory restitution. She has to pay me back over the next 2 years. Every paycheck she gets, a chunk of it goes to me. I don't even need the money. I just like knowing she has to watch my name on every pay stub. Daniel and I are officially divorced now. But I'll admit something I haven't told anyone else. I made mistakes too. I ignored the signs. I let them isolate me. I let my silence become permission. For years, I shrank myself down to make room for them. I let keeping the peace become more important than my own peace. Never again. The last time I saw Daniel, he looked small,
Bitter.
like a man who had lost more than he realized. He didn't say much, just handed me the last of my things in a box and mumbled something about regret. I smiled and said, "Family protects family. No exceptions."
Right.
Then I walked out. I still wear my grandmother's locket. Not because I need it, but because I earned it back. And every time I see it in the mirror, I remember. They tried to bury me. They forgot I was the storm.